Hi, everybody. Welcome. Today we're talking to you um, from the Crystal Mountain Healing in the Andes of Ecuador. Now, the topic of today's session is going to be what we call non beneficial entities, how to identify them, how to clear them, and what effect they can possibly have on us or loved ones. Now, I want to start out by saying, first of all, there's a variety of entities, and today, like I said, we're going to specify what to do with what we call non-beneficial. Now, the an entity is something to be reckoned with because it's one of the strongest energies of all, besides us. We got the 3D physical body, and we live in the 3D world, and this is what the entities want: is the 3D experience, which is why a number of them don't pass over into what we call fifth dimension. Rather, they stay in fourth. Now, some people would use the term ghost or haunted. An example I can give: a person builds a log cabin in the woods, and they love the log cabin, and it comes time for their transition, and they transition and they just don't want to leave the log cabin, so they stay there. Most people would then call that a haunted house because the entity would be present. Now, an entity with a person is different. Now, let's say there was a person who was a drug addict or an alcoholic or a sex addict, and they go through transition, they pass over. They still want to stay here as close to us in 3D as possible so they can still have the physical experience. Let's use an example of a person that's an alcoholic, goes through transition, then it's probably going to hang out at a bar. It's going to hang out at a bar because a person in 3D is going to come in, start drinking. The energetic field, some people call it an aura, weakens. The light of our being shows out. The entity sees it and attaches to us physically, gets to have the physical experience of the alcohol. Now, there can be an entity also in our living space, and there can also be an entity in a particular location, a yard, a patch of forest, whatever. So when a person comes to us, we would check all three areas individually. It gives us more information. So with regard to going into a mantra, which is going to explain how it is that we clear them, I want to point out two very important things to always keep in mind. And the first one would be, first of all, let me say dowsing, it works with any belief system that a person has. Now, the terminology that we use is spirit world, spirit doctors, and spirit guides. Now, why this is so important is because when we are working with what we call the dark side, we never want to have direct communication. We want to be protected. So we will say, spirit guides, take any and all help necessary, and ask to do whatever it is that we want to do. The second part of this important 2 points is we use our spirit guides because it takes our ego out of the situation. Sometimes we may think that we know what's best, and I use the term throw them over to the other side into the light of fire. And because the other side knows more than we do, and they'll deal with the entities however it is appropriate for that entity's evolution. So this is my pendulum. A pendulum is a tool, and it gives us information, percentages, numbers. So let's say I'm working with a person, I'm clearing their entity. My pendulum will go counterclockwise because that's how we remove things. And I would say, spirit guides, spirit doctors, spirit world, take any and all help necessary with regard to this non-beneficial entity, location, place, whatever. Banish the spirit, neutralize the energy, deactivate the life force, scramble the frequency, throw them over to the other side into the light of fire so they can have no ill effect on you, whatever, from this moment forward. May this be for the highest benefit of everybody concerned, and we ask that you do it now. Now, the pendulum will continue counterclockwise until completion. Then sometimes it just stops, sometimes it says yes, sometimes it says no, different things for different folks. You just learn your own particular method of how it is that you recognize you've come to completion when clearing something. Now, once we help an entity over, it stays over. An important thing to understand about dowsing is in dowsing, we cannot override free will. If a politician, a dark, powerful politician, has dark, powerful entity, and we can clear that. However, it can simply call another one back in. Now, so in that regard, it would be a waste of time. Now, the place where you're likely to find a lot of entities is bars, hospitals, mortuaries, prisons, schools, and one other I can't remember. Um, Hospitals, thanks. And so, because in those areas there's a lot of fear, and fear weakens the energetic field, which allows the light of our being to come forward. So, with that, we'll close for today. Thanks very much for your time. Have a great day. Ciao.